moving to the biofuel sector. Of course, you've heard a lot in the market about bioethanol and biodiesel. Whose sources, of course, are corn, sugarcane, sugar beets, cassava. And for biodiesel, coconut, palm oil, soybeans, rapeseed, and jatropha. And sweet sorghum, I should say, which is being done at Ikresat in India. Algae is an interesting area for us to look at because the difference between algae and all these other crops that we use for biodiesel and bioethanol is that algae doubles every an hour or so. You just have to keep them happy in a nice little vat, and they will produce whatever you want them to produce, frankly, if you genetically engineer them correctly. The recent problem, though, is that algae has a low yield, which is why we don't do it. But we'd like to work on this algae problem. In fact, there's a startup at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology that just got around $20 million in seed funding because this guy built a bioreactor on top of the MIT power plant, and all the greenhouse gas emissions would be about 80% would be taken up by the algae, and then the algae would generate biofuels. So he's not going to tell anyone the species of the algae. I mean, I asked, of course, he doesn't want to say. And if I had $20 million, I wouldn't tell anyone either. So we cannot blame him. But whatever algae he has, I'm telling you, our algae can kick its butt. Because we are the #1 country in the world with marine biodiversity. We have such a variety of microorganisms here, not just on marine but also on land. And in terms of cellulosic ethanol or ethanol from cellulose, and not from wood chips or the waste of other industries, corn stovers, which would be after you harvest the corn, these are the things that are left. So you're looking at wastes from the agricultural industry. This is something very interesting. If we could break down the cellulose in these plants, it would be very, very good for the environment. Also, you would avoid the food for fuel issue. Methane and biohydrogen to generate electricity is a long, long way off. So that's why we're not talking about it so much. If you look at the ethanol production around the world, Brazil, of course, takes the cake. That's 47% of the production, with North America at 46%. I think it's a little unfair to compare all the other ethanol producers to Brazil, because Brazil has been doing this for a very, very long time. It took an incredible amount of government subsidies and educating consumers and car manufacturers and many other sectors. So if you remove Brazil, you would see that North America produces 89% of ethanol. The top 10 ethanol producers, as you would expect, Brazil taking the list, China, India, France, Russia, South America, the United Kingdom, and of course Saudi Arabia, because they don't want their core competency to be stolen away from other people. So they're hopefully going to make some ethanol just in case the oil thing doesn't pan out. US ethanol production has risen, and now with the energy bill requirement, they're projecting that it will rise even more in 2012. And they've had several case studies. One is the forecast with gas above $40 a gallon. That's the red one. Forecast with gas below $60 a gallon. That's the blue line. And forecast with gas above $80 a gallon. This is from the U.S. Energy Information Administration in cooperation with McKinsey and the Biotech Industry Organization, which did the study, the hopeful study of $80 a gallon. And I think Burl and Company and Goldman Sachs did the more conservative, as you would expect from bankers, more conservative estimates. But whatever it is, you see that the trend is going to rise. Even at $40 a gallon, which was years and years and years ago, it would, at the very least, would plateau. It wouldn't be going down. So ethanol is here to stay. If you look at the ethanol plants in the U.S., a lot of them are operational, some of them are under construction, and only a couple of them are idle. And their production capacity per year is growing in billions of gallons. And in terms of the U.S. production capacity, these are the main players. ADM is Archer Daniels Midland. Broen is a set of companies that has a lot of expertise in that area. Abengoa is a Spanish company, that's Abengoa in North America. ICM and Universal Bioenergies are all new startups, as well as RPPG. They've been there since about 1995. So basically, ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, while also mentioned in the food industry, is one of the larger players. In Europe, the current bioethanol production is of approximately 0.35 billion gallons per year. More than 40 plants are expected to come online in the next 5 years. And there's a strong pull for biodiesel in some areas, but ethanol is starting to take off. So biodiesel is more in fashion in Europe than ethanol is. 7 countries are currently producing ethanol, such as Germany and Spain, where Abengoa has its home base. France is announcing a target of, well, announced actually, because this is a 2005 report, it announced a target of 5.75% market share for biofuels by 2008, I should say. And you see the trend all over. China, which is separate from all of Asia because of the many bioethanol plants there, they're slowly rolling out. In the first place, they did 4 provinces, and then in 2005-2006, they started another tier of provinces. Another 4 provinces adopted an E10 blend, or ethanol at 10% blend. And they're putting a lot of money into this, and they've recently partnered with Novozymes, who I mentioned before as one of the largest players in industrial enzymes. Japan is increasing its focus on biofuel, but they've been talking actually to Brazilian bioethanol producers. We don't know how that deal is going to go, but they're currently in talks now. And Thailand phased out its MTBE, is a very dangerous emission, in 2006, and they're going to start producing ethanol as well. Of course, the Philippines enacted the biofuels law, and the implementation is scheduled for May 2007. India has a lot of jatropha, and they're reviving their ethanol program because jatropha is mostly used for biodiesel. And the interesting thing here is because the food for fuel controversy is very high now. The U.S. currently put a stop to all its ethanol productions because the price of corn shot up. That's fine for the corn growers, but it's the people who need the animal feed from corn who are suffering. In fact, which is why I say algae is the trend, because if you use algae, we estimate that it's going to be about 40 times the amount you can produce per hectare of corn. 40 times the amount of biofuels that you can produce per hectare of corn, if we figure out how to make algae produce it. So that is the worldwide trend, although we're still trying to look at cellulosic ethanol. This is just the relative cost of A, ethanol, B, diesel, compared to its bio-alternatives per country. The gray bar is the fuel tax. So obviously driving in the European Union is not a good idea. That's why we have good public transport systems, because you'll get killed on the petrol and the diesel.